Well, hello. Camera's not really centered, is it? Oh, floppy camera, come on. See, now that's too high. Pardon me. Okay. That's a bit better. Okay. This is take 2 of the retouch. The first one completely screwed up because I had shortcut keys on OBS and it went and changed the scene that it was recording. So half the retouch was gone. Okay. Something that my clients don't ever really see is it's not just us in the studio taking their headshot. It's also the retouch that goes on after. So I figured, hey, why not show exactly what goes on in a retouch? This is our subject today, and all right, just setting some levels. Music in the background was a little too loud for my headphones. Okay, so I am a strong proponent of frequency separation when I do my retouches, although it's not your regular frequency separation. This is, I think it's been named FS 2.0 or frequency separation 2.0. I think the normal regular version of frequency separation is blurring your color layer with a Gaussian blur, and that really introduces a lot of problems in that it just kind of like smudges all the color and just smooths it all out. The problem is if you can see from this shot here, we've got a gray background and we've got like a purplishly blue kind of top. And these two colors do have a very defined line of where they stop and start, where one color ends and the other color starts. But when you Gaussian blur this together, this edge completely disappears. It goes away. And that's what causes a lot of problems when you're trying to do retouches with frequency separation, and that it's kind of like using a sledgehammer. Frequency separation 2.0 or FS 2.0, it doesn't use a Gaussian blur for that color information. It actually uses a median pass, which I guess you could say it's kind of like a surface blur in a way, in that it keeps those colors from blending too much together, and it just kind of smooths out everything inside of each color area. I don't know the math. I just know it works. The other thing with the tools that we use with the low median is I don't know if very many people have used this tool very much. I know I've heard painters use it all the time. It is the mixer brush, and what the mixer brush does is it kind of acts as if everything is wet paint, and it will blend those different tones or colors together. And what that lets us actually do is we can almost relight or reshape how somebody's lit. How about I just get down to it and you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to start off with the high median worker, which is the detail layer of this shot. And I am a retoucher that does not do magazine style stuff. I find that stuff way too plastic, especially for the work that I do, which is corporate headshots. That's what I specialize in. So all I do for my clients is I just make them look the best that I can, but still normal. I don't want them to look like they're aliens with flat plastic skin. It's just wrong on so many levels. So all I'm doing here is just kind of getting rid of little bumps and stuff. This is a big area too around the neck. People really do not like lines around their throats. How many times I've had the request, can you get rid of my double chin? And honestly, when you're using this approach, it is so easy to get rid of those lines like that. I know what you're saying. You're looking at me doing this and you're like, those lines aren't disappearing at all. All we're doing right now is getting rid of the texture that we don't want. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to hit this with the low pass, the color info. And we're just going to smooth it all together. So let's go a little smaller. I'm also not zooming in to the micro level because you can burn a lot of time looking after small details that honestly are nobody is ever going to see unless it's with a microscope. Now that being said, I do a lot more close-up retouching than I think some other photographers would do, especially for headshots. The reason being is my clients use them all over the place. So it's not just, they're not just sticking up on LinkedIn. I had one client call me up, or send me an email, sorry. She sent me an email thanking me for her headshot because she had been awarded the Female Entrepreneur of the Year award at some gala or function, and she had to go up on stage and accept her award and give a speech, and the entire time on the 30-foot screen behind her they had her headshot that I took of her up on there. So she's like, you made me look really good at 30 feet tall. So yeah, I know I just kind of contradicted myself there, but what I'm not doing is getting right down into the pore level. So if we zoom right in, I'm not going like right down into the pores and like oh, that we got to get rid of that. You know, that's magazine kind of style. And I am not that crazy with the retouch. Tips and tricks. What kind of tips can I give across? If you're doing your retouch of, well, it could be anything really. It's not just skin. But you'll notice that like in this shot is a good example. We've got areas that are in focus and we've got areas that are out of focus. When you're using your stamp tool or your healing tool and you're taking your samples, keep in mind the area that you're retouching and the area that you're grabbing your sample from. If you're doing stuff here, which is nice and sharp, you don't want to grab a sample over into the soft area because it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. Like that does not look proper, right? So if you're retouching something that is sharp, grab it from a sharp area and then you can cover in and it will look just perfectly fine, right? There we go. Right, this one's actually kind of an easy one. Figures too, because the first time I did this this recording, I was doing another client's shot. And yeah, that one was much more involved. There's a lot more different things going in there. I actually had to clean up kind of a mess of some hair, and then that caused a hole. So then you have to fill the hole, otherwise it just looks weird. So yeah, I had to like simulate some hair strands that were coming down. I'm sure I'll be doing that again on another one. I want to do a bunch of these. Because you know what, I sit here and I do these retouches and nobody ever sees this kind of stuff behind the scenes, right? Okay, so there's a lot of detail stuff. Now let's get down into the color stuff, and I'm going to show you this. And if you've never used this approach before, you're going to be like, oh my god, that is so cool. So I got my mixer brush. I am on this low median. Okay, hang on, rewind. I want to point this out. Okay, if you look at my layer stack here, you'll notice that I have 2 low median layers and I have 2 high median layers. So that means I have 2 layers that are color information and 2 layers that are detail. And you'll notice that the upper ones are clipped to the lower ones, right? So I have one color clipped to a lower color and an upper detail clipped to another high median. Basically what this approach is, it's kind of like a safety, okay? If anything kind of messes up, the history inside of Photoshop is, yeah, it's great, but the history is linear. which means if I had a whole bunch of steps here, like you see all these clone stamps, right? If I want to say, oh no, I want to step back here, but I want to keep all of these things, I can't do that. Not with the Photoshop history because it's linear. What this stack allows me to do is go down to the layer below it, make a lasso selection, Control J, so dupe the layer up, merge that copy layer with the upper lower median, if you following what I'm saying. How about I show you? So I haven't done anything on this yet, but if I grab a lasso, let me grab a lasso tool. Let's say I completely screwed this up, right? In fact, you know what? Let's screw it up. Why not? Okay, I'm gonna make it a little harder, and I'm just gonna, whoa, where did her collarbone go? So that sucks, right? We don't want to do that. So I'm gonna grab the lasso tool here, and I'm gonna say, grab this whole area here, right? I am going to Control J it. Okay, so I've now pulled that data, that selection from this lower layer. I'm gonna pull this up here. I am going to control those together. And I'm going to, let's see, I normally use the keyboard shortcut. Okay, keyboard shortcut coming. Control E to merge those together. And now I'm going to clip it again, and voila. It's back to how it was before. So, you know, if I want to undo something that I did 6 steps before, but keep the other 5, this is how I can do it. And the exact same thing works up on the high median. There is one caveat though, okay? And that is you'll find that the detail layer, as normal in frequency separation, is set to linear light. Sometimes it's set to, overlay or soft light, or however other people do it. When you do a grab from this lower layer, let's grab our lasso and we'll grab this section here, okay? And we do our Control J. And I pull this on top. Ooh, what happened? The problem is because I duped it from this layer that's set to linear light, this layer is also set to linear light. But when I have a layer that's clipped on top, this detail layer is actually set to normal. So this layer we have to turn on, and we will set it to normal. And then we'll unclip that one. We will select these two. Right? And I don't want to do it now because I've already done my detail work on here, but I'll just merge those 2 layers together. Imagine that I did that. And then I will clip that again, and we'll be back to normal again. Right? So that's the only one that's got that little extra step where you have to change it from linear light to normal, merge the 2 normals together, and then put the clip back on, and you're good. Okay, back to our regular scheduled action here. I am on my color layer. I have now made a selection. And this big black block here, so that's my light. I shoot my clients pretty close to the light. So watch this. This is the power of the mixer brush, okay? You ready? I'm just going to brush away that whole thing. I don't have to sample a color. I don't have, see how it's getting a little darker? There's a bit of a gradation going. I don't care. It doesn't matter because I'm just blending all these colors. Whoopsie. See that little undo. I'm just blending all of those colors together. I'm going to soften my brush a bit more. And there's a bit up in this corner here. So I'm just going to do that as well. So there we go. I've just erased my lights. Now I do want to, if there was any kind of texture information, sometimes the solarized layer will actually show that. Sometimes there's, the texture goes off from the background and then the light. This is actually not that bad. I really don't see anything different. There's just a little bit of noise going on. So yeah, I don't think that's going to be a problem. Let's turn the solar off. Yeah, you'd never even know that was there, right? Let me just work on that a little bit more though. Put the load up, the flow is high. Yeah, just give us a little tap and jog, and that will blend all those. Ooh, it's going a little too far now. I'm getting some echoes down here. That could actually be a cool effect. I don't know. You'll use that on some creative work. All right, cool. Okay, that's good. We do have to get rid of, remember, all the underlined stuff under here. So let's, yeah, mixer brush is selected. Now, we don't want to erase our collarbone because that would be wrong. But this dark line that's right here, we can just kind of jog that back and forth. And it will just kind of blend those lines together. Remember this one? The texture we got rid of earlier, and all that was left was like a darker kind of shadow kind of thing, and we just got rid of that too. Okay, so let's see these guys here. Just gonna blend those shadow differences where the line was. And goodbye, double chin. It's just gone. Who else sometimes zones out when they're doing a retouch? You just kind of get yourself in your brain happy space and zone away. Okay, so I got some shine going on here. Not a big fan of the shine, so let's just feather this in. Let me turn my flow down a bit so I'm not loading too much. We're just turning the volume down on that, right? Just toning it down a bit. That's a little too much. There we go. Sorry if you can hear there's a vacuum in the background. Yeah, I'm human. We have to vacuum our house. There we go. Cool. I'm going to leave this here. Yes, this is kind of hot. There's a little shine going on there, but that's okay. That's not too bad. What have we got so far? Let's see. Before, after. Boom, boom. See, I don't go too crazy with the retouch. I don't think there's any point to. See a little kind of something going on here, right? So let's grab our stamp tool. And I just broke my own rule, but you can always go back and fix it afterwards, right? Doom, doom, doom. Okay. Let's just give those eyebrows a little bit of a trim. What's going on this side with that? That's kind of cool. Okay, that works. Nikon Z7 II, if anybody's wondering, that's what I shot these on. Oopsie, what am I doing? Aha. What is that cross stamp tool? I don't think I've ever... Oh, pattern stamp. That's what that one is. All right. Anything else jumping out? I do have some hair flying out at the sides here. So let's take care of that stuff now. We'll zoom out a little bit. And I don't think this is going to have any texture detail on it at all, but we'll find out. Oh, I got to get to my flow back up again. Okay, so I'm getting rid of the color detail, the color information first. And then whatever you see left behind is definitely all on the texture layer. So they can come back afterwards. I'm probably going to leave those guys there. Just so it looks like she does actually have hair still. Stamp tool, I'm on the detail layer. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And just erase those. Kick in there, just that. Sometimes just doing the color layer push to mush some color in there is enough. It's there kind of, but it's just a very subtle hint. Like, yeah, I'm still here. I'm not, that way it doesn't look like you actually cut a bowl around the person's head. Now, something I am noticing here with her head, I'm seeing some like lopsidedness happening. Now that's just from the way her hair is and the lighting that's going on, but it is kind of distracting in a way, right? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take these two layers, because I didn't use my retouch layer at the top. This is normally the layer that I would put hair strands in if I needed to actually replace some hair. Didn't use that this time. We don't need the solar layer anymore either, so I'm just going to dump those. Now what we're going to do is a little bit of dodge and burn. There are retouchers that do their entire retouch just with dodge and burn. It's like, oh, this little spot's too dark, this spot's a little too bright. I'm going to dodge and burn both of them and bring them into the same tone. Oh my god, that's got to take forever. Like, if you want to do that, okay, go ahead. But, I got better things to do with my time than do all that kind of stuff. So my dodge and burn is really limited. Super limited. I dodge the eyes a little bit because I just want a little bit more oomph in the catch. I also bump the bottom light here. You can see my 3 light setup here. I bump the bottom one because I don't have the light turned up as much because I don't want to underlight them, but I still want to have the bump of the light in the catch light, right? So you'll notice that, yeah, there's more of a bump in that bottom catch light than there is the other ones. Okay. Burn. I burn the eyebrows a touch. I just give them a little bit of bumps up the contrast a bit. And then you can also just go in like the eye crease area here. I mostly only do that for women. Sometimes I do it for men. Now, like every other Photoshop thing that you ever do, it's never 100%, right? So whatever you've drawn in, back it off just a touch, and then it will actually start to look normal, right? But you can see how much of a difference just that gives that presence in the face. It's a little pop, that's all we really need, a little pop. If I turn off the background, there should be no difference because we've got that stuff there, so that's fine. I always keep the background though because it is the original. And let's select all of these, and we are going to convert that all to a smart object. And then we go and have a coffee, because when you've got this many layers grouped together and you want to make a smart object, it's going to take some time to do it. Which gives me a moment to mention this. So, part of my workflow that I've figured out, I've tried a whole bunch of different tools and whatnot to make things easier. And honestly, this has got to be the big kicker. I don't know if you can see this at all. Do you see that? Do you know what that is? That's a razor. It is a Razer Tartarus V2. It's a gamer pad. And what it allows you to do, cancel. No. What it allows you to do is map either keystrokes or macros, like a series of keystrokes. It allows you to map them to individual keys. So that's where I have all of my tools. Like I've got a key for the stamp tool, the brush tool, the heal tool, the move tool. I've got a special key specifically to get me into my mixer brush tool. I've got my action set up. So I have one button and I get my frequency separation layers all, kicked off. Yeah. Get rid of all of the other ones. Like I think it started off as the palette thing where they all kind of like zip together with magnets, and then that connected up to a controller that was USB and blah. Yeah, no, I got rid of that. The stupid thing about that is you've got like one square which has one button, so you can put one action on that, and that one square which has one button was like $100 just for the one button. And of course, if you've got, like I just rhymed off a key for the mixer brush, the move key, stamp key, brush key, the healing brush, there's 5. That's $500 just for 5 keys. Forget it. Forget about it. Go for one of these. I think that was like $150 or something like that. And not only do you have, what was it? There's 20 keys on here. There's also like an alt mode, which gives you another 20 keys. And yeah, all sorts of stuff. I got one key right on my thumb, which I've mapped to the space bar. So I just put my thumb down and I can drag the picture around. I got one that's set to the rotate key, so I can just click it, hold it, and then rotate. Escape key gets me right up. Best thing I ever did to speed up retouching. And because you program all the keys yourself, muscle memory kicks in. Okay, so we've got our smart object. I hate that it always names it whatever the top layer was, but I don't know, it is what it is. Now, to this, we are going to go to our Liquify tool. Yes, I know, the Liquify tool. Remember the shapy weird head? This is what I want to just kind of smooth out a bit, right? So I'm just going to ever so slightly, don't pull it down, touch more. Let's zoom smaller so we can get a bit of a curve round going. Okay, that's pretty cool. So see how much we did? Not that much at all, right? Very, very minimal. But it's just, now it's just a little bit more, rounder. I could probably go even a little bit more, but I don't want to push it too much. Okay, next thing we want to do on this is, you know what? I forgot to do something in the other layer. So I am going to jump back into that. So I have that layer done. What I forgot to do was my Magic Smile. Yes, I'm using the Retouching Academy plugin add-on tool. It's one of 2 tools that I use. Okay, so I use this one. Honestly, I'm only ever using the Magic Smile. I'm not using the Dodge and Burn or the Frequency Step or the Luminosity Mask or anything like that. You know what? This is pretty much the only one that I use. I probably could just duplicate the settings they got here and then make my own action, but I don't know, one of these days. Okay, flow 100%. And we just brush over those teeth. Instant teeth whitening. Perfect. Look at that. And that's one actually that I don't find that I have to really drop the opacity down. It does a good job, just as it is. So we're going to close that. It's saving currently. And then that is going to be pushed up to this layer, and it's automatically going to push in the Liquify, so I don't have to do that all over again. That's what smart layers are for. Okay, so now I got to do my F10, which is the VSB sharpener. And this is for, I think it's the 16-bit sharpener. So what it does is it actually makes a smart object, bumps into the smart object, does the filtering this way, and then brings it back and then rasterizes the image again. Boom, just like that. And it's completely blacked out because I don't want it everywhere. That would just be crazy. So what I do is 50% brush, not a pencil. 50% flow on a nice brush, and I just hit the eyes a bit because the eyes are the windows to the soul. Touch on the eyebrow, a little bit on the mouth and the teeth area because they just really pop too. And that is it for that sharpener layer. Now the last thing I do, boom, a little bit of a vignette. So grab my new move tool, and I'm moving the mask that is on the, yes, curves layer, right? Yeah, curves layer. Select the mask. You can move this wherever you want. And we just put it right behind her, and come on, zoom. There we go. Voila. This one is done. And I would love to show you a before and after, but I can't. You guys saw the before and after in the other layer when I was doing that stuff. That's cool. Okay, so this one I think is actually going to work. I'm actually going to be able to post this one up. You know what? I will figure out, I'll export out my actions to create the frequency separation layers, and then one day I'll get around and I'll actually export out the teeth whitening script as well and put them in somewhere so you guys can go and download them if you want. Okay, hope you liked that one. Hope that was cool. If you've got any questions, please put them in the comments. I'll see if I can get around to answering them. Until next time, ciao.